Dude, it is fucking 2:15 and we have to find the third person.
We do. Okay, I'm gonna call Trevor.
God damn it!
Pick up.
Dude, the movie is starting now.
Hey! What's up? Hey, do you want to see Ghostbusters with us?
Tell him he needs to get his ass over here.
Yeah, you have to get over here, because it's starting, like, right now. Wait. Oh, you have to work? What do you mean you're feeling pretty chill?
Dude, what the f...
Okay. He said he can't make it, so...
Why? Is Arturo still pissing him off? He's not fucking directing this movie.
I don't know. I mean...
God damn it!
Well, who's gonna be the third person in our review?
I don't know. Like, Tarek, you fucked up.
How is this my fault?
Because you said Trevor was gonna be here, and now he's not.
Well, we gotta find somebody, okay? Jeez!
Jesus! Dude, the movie is, like, starting. Like, the preview started 2 minutes ago.
I don't know what to do.
Hey. I'm here. I'm queer. Can I be in this review?
No!
Matt,
fuck off!
Alright. I'll just go home.
Anyway, so Ghostbusters. Yeah.
This movie, from its conception, has got nothing but hate.
Right. Most disliked trailer, I believe, on YouTube, right?
Like in history. Recently, now that the review embargo is lifted, people are saying, hey, it's not so bad. Like, the critics are saying, like, you know, like, hey, it's a fun adventure for the whole family, and now the audience score totally shits on that, so...
Yeah, like 76% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, then compared to with audiences, but...
Yeah. I want to give it a fair chance.
We have to block out all of this. We have to block out everything. We have to try and have fun with this movie. We have to, like, zone out the critics saying it's, like, a great movie. We have to zone out the fans, the haters saying it's a shit movie, and, like, Sony's buying positive ratings or something. We have to tune all that out. Let's just watch a Ghostbusters movie, Tarek.
Right. This is probably going to be one of the hardest reviews, because
this is going to be
two sides. Really.
My expectations are going to be very, very low. Like, I mean, probably the lowest I've ever had them. Even lower than The Darkness.
Yeah. Alright. Is that all you got?
Despite my feelings about Melissa McCarthy,
yeah,
I think you've got this. I think you can be a movie for a new generation. Just don't mess this up, please. I'm giving you a chance to really, really, really be okay.
And to make up for Tammy. Alright.
We'll see you right back.
Yeah. So, what did you think of it?
Ghostbusters is a movie that really does explore the unknown side of paranormal investigation. This group of scientists, you know, go out of their way to try and pursue what they love, and it really gives an emotional connection to me, you know, to try and work towards something you love doing, even though the entire public is against you.
Right.
Unfortunately, things go disarray, and the entire city is in danger from a threat from what they do. And it's up to them to stop it. And throughout their, you know, wacky, silly, and oftentimes very funny steps, they end up saving the city, and, you know, all is well, and they're praised, and everyone appreciates what they do, and it's a really heartfelt story of pursuing what you love doing, even in the face of adversity and doubt. And that's something I think Ghostbusters really succeeds in doing. And that is why you don't fucking remake this fucking franchise! Son of a bitch, I'm so... This movie... Sony, I don't even know what the fuck you think you're doing. I think this movie was made on a dare. Like, I think that someone at Sony was like, dude, I dare you to remake Ghostbusters with the worst script imaginable, casting the least funny people to, like, have the worst chemistry with, to make such a disrespectful movie to the original franchise. This movie does not know whether to suck the original movie's dick, or to like try and stand on its own, or to be a complete rip-off of the original movie. God. Where do I even begin, Tarek? Where the fuck do I even begin?
Oof. I mean, is there even anything good with this movie, really? Like,
everyone was praising the fact that, like, you know, you laughed throughout. I did not laugh once. I think I chuckled a little bit one time, and it wasn't anything to do with the Ghostbusters. It was a character who screamed like a girl, and it was for a second. This movie was such a waste of time and money.
I remake it if you can't do it better.
It didn't even have to be better. It just had to stand on its own, and the movie fails. It just drops the fucking ball. Kristen Wiig does not want to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, she does not care about the character she is playing. The only characters I feel like really tried in this movie were Melissa McCarthy, and she has nothing funny to say. Even though everyone in the theater tried to like have a good time with this and laughed, none of the jokes were funny.
They just weren't. Like, everyone clapped at the end. Everyone was like so happy, but like, I don't see what was so great about it. Did we watch the same movie as them, or?
I just think that, because like everyone was with their kids, so we were trying to just like stay quiet and like wait for the movie to be over. You know, it got about halfway through this movie, and I looked at Tarek and I thought, there is nothing that this movie can do for me now. It just needs to try and finish strong. And I swear, it is one of the worst written endings and one of the least visually pleasing things to look at I've seen this year. Like, everything, the effects with the ghosts look like shit. The entire ending just looks like CGI.
It's just CGI ghosts everywhere, pretty much.
It's like someone masturbated on a Scooby-Doo puppet. It's so awful to look at.
Okay, so Chris Hemsworth is in the movie, and he's not just like kind of stupid. He is really stupid, like beyond stupid, to the point where it's not even funny.
Yeah, it's like you could have had him like less intelligent, like at the beginning, and like, but they just kept having this gag of him being so ridiculously stupid that like he can't even answer a fucking phone.
And he serves no purpose in the movie other than to get possessed.
Yeah, and
which could have happened to anybody else. I mean,
every guy in this movie, I shit you not, is either a complete moron, a straight up asshole, or a klutz, or a shameless cameo from the original Ghostbusters movie.
pretty much.
Like, Sony had them on their leash and like, you work for these females now. On with you. You know, everything trying to be respectful about the original movie just fails. And it's so disrespectful that it hurts. When you see the cameos, they get worse and worse each time, and they hurt more and more. Dan Aykroyd is a fucking taxi driver, and he has the most forced line in this entire movie. He's like, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. He just drives off.
It was so forced.
Bill Murray is a ghost debunker. Bill Murray is a ghost debunker in this movie, and he goes to the Ghostbusters headquarters, like with the Chinese restaurant like on top of it, which that character that delivers him is a fucking moron like every other guy, but Bill Murray's character is an asshole. And I really feel like he was just trying to like represent the fact that since he was in the original Ghostbusters, it doesn't exist anymore. And this movie doesn't exist, so he's trying to debunk the Ghostbusters because it doesn't exist and it shouldn't exist. Sigourney Weaver's in it, and she's forced. The receptionist from the original is in it, and she goes, "What do you want?" It's just so hard to watch. If you love the original movie, it's really hard to watch. In a world full of superhero movies, I was really hoping this would be good to give kids something to look up to other than superheroes. And I know there are kids out there who will eat this shit up, but kids deserve so much better. They deserve better role models to look up to. They deserve better movies to watch. Parents deserve better movies to take their kids to and spend their money on their kids with. This movie is just a waste of time, and it is a waste of money, and it is depressing to watch. If you're a fan of the original Ghostbusters, this is such a disservice to that franchise. If you don't know anything about Ghostbusters, you might like this movie. I know people were laughing a bit and I'm starting to lose my voice from yelling so much. But I can't imagine why people would support this movie. It's not funny. It is not good. The director of the movie even called out the fans of it, you know, calling them, you know, sexist bigots. Oh, suck my misogynist, women-hating dick, you know? This movie is shit. And it has the balls to try and make men out to be, like, awful.
Yeah, like, they just point that out throughout the movie, like, all the time.
And they try and make as many, like, attempts to make all men hate women in this movie, especially the villain. He's like, you shoot like women, and they're trying to be like, oh yeah, girl power. But this movie is just so awful, and they wanted to push women into stronger movie roles, and they do that by bashing men and starring in shitty movies. Unnecessary movies. So Paul Feig, I know your last name rhymes with fag and you were bullied about it when you were a kid, but fuck you. That's not your opportunity to take shots at men just because you were bullied.
I mean, my gosh, what a such a bad movie, you know?
And I can't see how critics can post positive reviews about this, like, unless, I'm pretty sure most of them are women trying to push agenda, like, for their whatever sort of news articles they work for, or whatever sort of, you know, firm that they work for. Not firm, what am I talking about? I feel stupider for watching this movie. I feel completely drained out of any sort of intelligence that I once had after watching this movie.
Right. Like Chris Hemsworth character.
Yeah.
Kevin was his name?
Yeah, Kevin, fucking idiot, and he gets hired because he's hot.
Yeah, and they point that out too, like the entire movie.
Yeah, so it's okay for men, you know, be stereotyped as hot, dumb, but women can't be stereotyped as hot, dumb. It's the way we live in now, I guess. And I didn't even know this. We were sitting in the theater at the very end of the movie, like while the credits were going, and I had to sit there and think. But there was an end credit scene, and I did not know it was going to be in the movie. They tease Zool. Like, oh, God, no!
I heard something really weird. It's Zool.
Suck all you want, movie, but you will not fucking bring Zool into this. No. Like, I hope this movie does not make enough money to garnish a sequel, because I cannot handle seeing Zool done this way.
This movie was just not good. I'm sorry to say that. I wanted it to be good.
I wanted this movie to be great. I wanted to experience what it was like as a kid. And I know I didn't grow up in the 80s, but I watched it as a kid, and I loved the shit out of it. I wanted to be a Ghostbuster. I wanted that feeling to be, you know, revitalized with this movie, and it doesn't. Like, I can't imagine any kid wanting to be a Ghostbuster after seeing this movie. And the reason why the original works and this one doesn't, this movie was written with jokes. The original movie, they weren't in on the joke. The jokes happened naturally, and the funny moments came from the characters, not the comedians.
Right. And, like, I feel like in this movie, like in every scene, they try to force a joke, even if it has nothing to do with what they're talking about. They just randomly do it.
Like, I shit you not, it's just as unfunny as fucking Pixels, with like the pop culture references Adam Sandler is making. Like, it's the same kind of unfunny, and there are two movies I can compare this to besides the original. It is Catwoman, because Ghostbusters 3 went on a big derailment of, you know, rewritten scripts and people on the project, off the project, just like Catwoman, and we ended with a shitty movie as the end result after years of rewriting and stuff. And Fantastic Four. This movie is as unnecessary of a remake as Fantastic Four last year. This movie is just as boring in its weakest moments as Fantastic Four.
And they both could have been great.
They both could have been great movies, and they just aren't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what to talk about. I really don't.
I don't either. I mean, I think we covered most of it.
There's really nothing in this movie worth saving for a spoiler section, because if you listen to me and you listen to Tarek, you will never see this movie, like, ever. Like, the original has so much more love. It's got so much more, like, better humor. The effects are better. In a movie that's 30 years outdated, it sucks to say that this movie looks worse than that movie. This movie looks like the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, and it even steals, like, ghost sound effects from the original Scooby-Doo live-action movie. It's so pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how the fuck did this thing get so misguided?
If they make a sequel. Oh, if they make a sequel. What the? Matt?
Matt,
Hey guys.
how long have you been in my fucking car?
I don't know, a little bit. Left the movie a little early and came back here and chilled.
How the hell did you... Well, I guess Matt's in the review now. What the fuck? I guess, what do you have to say about this movie? You've heard everything I've said so far.
Yeah, you guys had a lot to say. But one thing you failed to mention was Brad Carruthers. Because for me, he was an inspiration to come see this movie.
You guys don't know who Brad Carruthers is. He's this kid.
He is the only kid I've ever met who's had such enthusiasm about Ghostbusters.
Yeah, and his voice talks like this all the time. And when you ask him what he wanted to be when he grew up, he's like, I want to be a Ghostbusters. And I can't tell if this movie, he's like, he went to a midnight screening of it or he completely avoided it because he didn't want his childhood.
Yeah, the whole movie, I wasn't even paying attention to half of it. I was just thinking of how Brad's going to be mentally affected by how shitty this movie was. I was like, is he going to rethink life? Is he going to want to be a superhero now?
Is he going to be a school shooter like everyone made fun of him for in high school? Melissa McCarthy is not a Ghostbuster. He goes to Hamilton Southeastern High School and just unloads on people.
Well, there was a few kids that could have done that. But anyway, I think the female cast, for one thing, probably made Brad a little upset. Didn't make me that upset.
Yeah, I mean, I was totally down for an all-female Ghostbusters. I'm like, okay, do something new. And they did something new. It's just who they got to play the parts, you know?
Yeah, but it was just the writing and screenplay in general just wasn't that appealing to me. I can obviously see that this movie's geared towards young children and their parents at the same time, because one hand the whole movie's supposed to be a little bit lighthearted and funny, and then on the other hand you have some really bad jokes that the writers try to throw in to make the parents laugh. Like just bad satire.
And like,
I guess it's amusing because the whole rest of the movie is just complete shit, and everything you listen to just makes you be like, holy fuck, because everyone was like this like halfway during the movie.
yeah, it's boring. When
Just
there's
during normal plot sequences.
Yeah, when there's no ghosts, this movie is dull. This movie is boring.
It's boring with the ghost too.
And like, even though people like clapped at it, I'm pretty sure it was just mostly children. But I mean, when I looked in the aisle and he's like, we saw like people leaving like during the movie, and before the movie, like the credits started, rolling, I saw like this old couple wearing their Ghostbuster shirt. They just left in disappointment, and I felt so bad for them. And no one stayed for the end credit scene.
There was like us and
Like
two
other people. Yeah. And I didn't even know there was going to be an end credit scene, but I'm pretty sure someone that wanted to see this movie knew, and they just left the theater like, okay, it's finally over, let's get out.
And I think the saddest thing is all the advertising that they spent like trying to get this movie out there. A lot of people are going to come see it. And at the end credit scene, they kind of hinted towards a sequel.
They didn't they're cocky as fuck that they're gonna get a sequel and ruin
Yeah,
Zool.
because they know they're gonna get money regardless, even if it's just ticket sales or merchandising. Because like this is a huge thing, and when they're gonna get their money in a month or so, they're gonna be like, hey, start writing a second movie, and it's just gonna be complete shit like this one.
I think also in a month people are going to forget about this movie. Like, it's the way this movie's being released, it's being released in different countries at different times. It doesn't have a worldwide release. So, like, there are going to be countries that won't be able to see this movie until August. So, I think that's how they're going to try and keep it relevant in the world. They're just trying to release it in different countries, like, for a long time. But, I mean, here in America, in a month or two, this movie, no one's going to remember it. No one is going to care if Ghostbusters gets a sequel. No one's going to care about when this movie comes out on Blu-ray. Guys, don't see this movie. If you've seen the trailers, it's literally the movie.
Pretty much.
And I don't know if it's a feminism thing or if it's a lady thing, but this movie pissed me off, and I'm mad as hell.
The potential.
I mean, this movie literally is this year's Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is probably on par with The Darkness.
Like, it might be my least favorite movie of the year so far. I mean,
what kind of genre do you put the movie in?
it tries to be a comedy.
A horror, well, not horror, but a little bit of thriller maybe, and like
It's trying
Adventure?
to be a comedy. It's like an adventure comedy with like ghosts.
Is it trying to compete with like superhero blockbuster films?
I'm pretty sure Sony's trying to make their like Ghostbusters universe like, because they don't have Spider-Man anymore, and I know how Marvel got Spider-Man now. Sony's like, you want Spider-Man? Okay, we want Thor, and we want to fuck Thor to death in this movie. They took Chris Hemsworth and they ruined him.
I thought it was Liam Hemsworth till the end.
Liam's Hemsworth.
Liam Hemsworth.
Liam's Hemsworth is in
Independence
Day.
Day. And if you thought that movie was up its own ass, this
Movie's very up its own ass. Like, it's convinced that it is badass. And it's just not. Guys, go see the BFG. I mean, really, there's not many good movies out that I can think of. Go see Finding Dory. Go see BFG. Take your kids to something with more heart than Ghostbusters.
I think they just use recognizable faces just to get an audience. which really
Like, this is a
sucks.
cash grab. It's just a cash grab. Don't give Sony your money for this.
Like, hey, we put Chris Hemsworth in this movie in this horrendous role. Now come see it.
If Tarek wants to get back on screen, we can rate this piece of shit and get on with our lives.
Yeah, I'll just all three of us. All right, so who wants to go first?
I'll go last.
Okay. Matt, do you want to give your final thoughts and rating?
Then get out of my car.
I feel like my rate is just going to be negative, and I don't want to stir up any more trouble.
Well, all of ours is probably going to be negative, so you're in.
I like, in the end though, I like to point out the positives in the movie.
Are there positives in the movie, Matt?
There are none,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be negative.
Okay, well, I
So-
guess Tarek and I are just gonna rate it then.
My rate's neutral.
Okay. Tarek.
Okay. All right. Ghostbusters. You know, this could have been a great movie, but it's just a cash grab. I mean, there's no point in it being made. The jokes were not funny. The villain is extremely bland. In fact, in the movie, he's like, "The world bullied me, so now I will bully the world."
Like,
And
he's literally
A school
Doctor
shooter.
Doom. He's literally Doctor Doom in Fan 4 Stick.
he literally explained that.
He's like, oh,
That's
the
all he
world
did.
is so harsh to me, so now I have to ruin the world because it's so harsh.
The remix of the Ghostbusters song by Fall Out Boy was awful.
Probably the worst part about the movie.
Yeah, it was just so bad. Let's see, Chris Hemsworth, like we said, he's not funny in this movie. I'm sorry. Melissa McCarthy, you know, I think she's very overrated. I'm sorry. I mean, just the fact that when she yells in this movie, like she does in all of her movies, I can't stand her voice. Like, I just cannot. And
And she reverts back to her kind of fat tropes, like, oh, there's only one dumpling in this Chinese soup. Because let's eat food, let's, like, joke about food, because I'm fat, and fat's funny.
mhm,
Kevin James, female with a vagina.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I can see your muff in the movie. That's not good.
Ew.
Don't look at the jumpsuits, people. And that's like half the movie. Tarek, calm yourself.
Tarek. Are you okay?
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all I gotta say. Oh, one more thing. like Carrick mentioned earlier, Paul Feig, I think that's his name, right? The director,
Yeah.
claimed that if you don't like this movie, you're a sexist, misogynistic pig or whatever. And for that reason alone, this movie gets a 0 out of 10.
I'm not
Damn, Terry.
a cunt. I have to give it a 1. If I could, I'd give it a 0, so I'm gonna take Tarek's 0 as a 1, so with a consensus of 1 out of 10. This movie is anally penetrating. And Paul Feig, you can go fuck yourself. Oh, and one more thing as I'm editing the video that you can see here. The first major joke in the movie, the first hee-hee ha-ha moment, is a fucking queef joke. It is a joke about pussy farts. Enjoy!
There's a time in our lives when we must listen to the oppressed and realize we've been keeping women down. They have power and they have courage,
And we must all stand by the belief that a woman is strong and she has the right to queef.
fly free, free to queef aloud, fly free. Let every queef show that you're proud. You face so many challenges to put an end to your grief. You're a woman now, and you are free to queef.
It's time for equality. We must give them the respect they deserve.
They're just the same as you and me. Their rights must be preserved. Queef free. Every woman has the right. Queef free. Let your queefing stars shine bright. You are woman, hear you roar. Queef free. Queefing too loud to ignore. Queef a little each day and let your soul take flight.